So, the Murder Mystery 2 Halloween event has started, and this year might be one of the harder years to grind for the leaderboard since, number 1, there's no fire candies this year, which sucks, and number 2, we're missing a map, which is Office 2. Many people are wondering what are the best maps to grind on and what are the worst maps to grind on. And that is why I present to you guys all the best maps, all 15 of the current maps, including the 2 new maps, ranked from worst to best. Worst for grinding and best to grind. I'll be ranking these maps based on 3 different criterias. Number 1, candy spawn or rate of candy spawning. Number 2, map size. And number 3, reliability and grinding speed. Keep in mind that I was using an alt account and one of my other friends were grinding with me during some of the recording. So it might vary from time to time depending on how many people are playing and how efficient the candy will be spawning. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out and keeps me motivated to do more videos. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 15, Manor. Let's start off with the worst map to grind on. This map really doesn't need any explanation. There's too many rooms, the candy spawn is the slowest and the worst out of any map. And most of the time you can't even get a full bag in one round. Most of the candy spawns outside the map, leaving a slower spawn rate inside the actual map. Overall, this map is just trash, the worst map to grind on. That's saying you can barely get a full bag as well. Just don't get this map, please. Just avoid it at all costs. Number 14, NS Office. The second worst map to grind on is NS Office, or N Studio as some people call it. There's some obvious reasons why this is the second worst map to grind on. First of all, the lag is insane. It's super laggy for a lot of devices, therefore making it unplayable when there's a ton of candy. Second of all, there's not as much space in the map, and sometimes the candy spawns behind areas that can't be accessed without no clip. Although the basement is probably the better area, yet it's still really bad to grind on. It's better than Manor and by a lot, but it's still the second worst map to grind on. Number 13, Hotel. Despite Hotel being one of the OG maps and one of the bigger maps, it's not the best for grinding candy. Yeah, it's not as laggy, but the candy spawn is so slow, and the movie theater is basically the only spot with the fastest candy spawn. You'll just end up looking around and wasting time, jumping down to the first floor and finding not as much candy. Grinding in this map is quite slow and just not efficient. There's also the candy that spawns in the secret areas that you can easily miss, which is even more annoying, therefore being number 13. Number 12, Police Station. Police Station is a bit of a weird one. On one hand, it has decently long halls that spawn a mediocre amount of candy. On the other, it's a big maze and you can't access as much of the map at once. You have to make full loops most of the time. It's a very slow map to grind on and a bit frustrating. Not the most effective map to grind on, but still better than Hotel in my opinion. Number 11, Bank. Unlike Police Station, Bank is a smaller map with not as many hallways or rooms. This is both good and bad. It's good because it's faster to access most areas in the map. It's bad because not much candy spawns through the halls. The map isn't that bad, but still not as fast as the other maps on this tier that will follow. I choose the map if the other maps were any of the above. It's just mediocre, it's around an intermediate level of a map. Number 10, Millbase. Millbase is perhaps one of the biggest maps in MM2, which is not necessarily a good thing. In this case, it's an okay thing, since there's more area for the candy to spawn, but the downside is that the map is too big and time consuming to grind on. There's too much running back and forth, and the outside area is the only good area to farm, but still slower than the other maps that will follow in this ranking. Now that we're going into the top 9, the next maps will be okay to grind on, but still not as efficient as the top 5 or top 3. And kicking this top 9 is Factory. Unlike Millbase, Factory is more efficient to grind on. Yeah, it's still a big map, but it's smaller and the outside area is more accessible from the inside, and there's multiple areas where the candy spawn is pretty good. The outside area and the storage area are the best spots to grind on since they have the fastest candy spawns. It's a bit of a hassle to walk back and forth, but it's a better map, and it's way better than the maps that were above this. Anyways, let's move on to number 8. Number 8, Workplace. Workplace is a bit of a weird one as well. There's very few rooms and there's a super long hallway. The candy spawn in this map is quite good, primarily in the long hallway. There is a route that I prefer to take, which starts from the kitchen and all the way to the end of the long hall. They go back on the same route to the kitchen. The map is good to grind on, but the long hallway can get obnoxious. My place isn't that bad, but it's still a bit slow. Number 7, House. Now, before you guys start screaming at me, why the heck is this map number 7? It deserves to be higher. Hear me out. House is in fact a good map to grind on. Heck, it's one of the best maps to grind on. There are a few problems with some of the grinding route on this map. The main problem is that the spawn is a bit slow, but after a while you can find big piles of candies in one area. That's where my small problem comes in. Candy spawning is inconsistent and sometimes you can get super slow rounds. It's a good map, don't get me wrong, but the candy spawn is inconsistent and not fully the best. Number 6, Research Faculty. Number 6, Research Facility. Although Research Facility is big, it has plenty of rooms and the areas are easily accessible from a few places, mainly from the teleporter. We can start with the obvious. Routing in this map is easily one of the best grinding routes out of any maps. The main room is the best area to grind in. It really has a good spawn rate, but it's sometimes a bit inconsistent. It's still a really good map to grind on and better than House for sure. Now we're entering the top 5. These maps are the better maps to grind on with very few flaws. Starting off with number 5, Office 3. It's not a surprise that Office 3 made it into the top 5. It's easily one of the best maps to grind on, especially the elevator room. Routing in this map is so easy and so consistent, there's not many flaws other than a bit of inconsistency in the candy spawning. But after a while you get a ton of candy spawning in the elevator room, which is insane. Easily one of the best maps to grind on and one of the fastest. Number 4, Farmhouse. Surprise! Farmhouse is the 4th best map to grind on in my opinion. Now, before you guys shout at me, yes, this map is way better than Factory and Mill Base. The candy spawn in this map is so fast, the only thing that makes it seem slow is the size of the map. The main areas for grinding are the garden, the barn, and the basement. There's not as much inconsistency in this map, but still a bit slow to grind on. What saves it is the spawn speed, which might be top 2 fastest spawn rates. Overall, this map really deserves number 4. Now we're into the top 3 best maps to grind on. These maps are easily the best and most consistent to grind on with almost no flaws or inconsistencies. Starting this top 3 is Biolab. Yep, Biolab is number 3. It's not a surprise that the main carry of this map is the big room with the tube, aka the main room. It has a ton of candy spawners and it fills up super fast. Most of the other areas have good candy spawns, but none of them beat the main area. The red room is another good spot to grind in, as well as the hallways, where you can easily get a full bag in less than a minute and a half by just running around in the main room. Easily deserves this spot. Number 2, Hospital. Hospital has earned the silver trophy. It was hard to choose a second place, so I chose this one as number 2. The candy spawn in this map easily beats Farmhouse by a mile. It's so fast and super consistent. The lowest time you can get a full bag in this map is around a minute, maybe less. Easily one of the preferred maps by quite a selection of grinders, and definitely worthy of the top 2. Number 1, Mansion. What else? There's no explanation needed for this map. This is the best map to grind on. The candy spawn is so good, so fast, and there's a ton of them. It's such an open map, making routes is super easy in this map and super efficient. Without a doubt the map where you can grind the fastest and most consistent. There's no flaws and there's very little negative things to say about this map. Easily the best map to grind on, period. And there you guys have it. All 15 maps ranked from worst to best to grind on. Remember, this is based on my opinion and the way I grind it with my friend. It will depend on how many players are grinding at once. So if there's more than 2 players, then bigger maps like Mill Base and Factory would be more recommended. Anyways, that's it for this video. Remember to like and subscribe, maybe even hit that bell to get notifications on when I upload a video. Till then, I'm Toxic, signing out.